I know we've all been wondering about the fate of the old Yonko since the end of the raid on Onigashima, and I think I have the answer for Kaido. I'm so certain, in fact, that I've finally decided to start my own channel here on YouTube so I can start collecting my W's just like my boy Randy did last week.
We got the poneglyph there, we got swords here, we got Kokeshi dolls. Boom.
That's Big Rand. That's his W. We give Randy his credit.
So Randy gets
I'll message Randy straight right out of this chapter. I already, he's right. Oh my god, I can't even breathe. There's so
Shouts out to Randy. Onto the theory. First, we should quickly cover all the potential options for the fates of the Yonkos so you can see how I came to my own conclusion, in which I narrowed their fates down into 3 different categories. The first option would be death, and I'm going to rule this out as that would make for a really boring video, and this would be a pretty dramatic shift in how Oda has handled the fates of his characters, so I really doubt that this is the case. The second option would be preposterous shenanigans, by which I mean that they've created a new sky island, they became encased in sea stone, they were flung halfway around the world, they found Pluton, etc. You know, I think we've heard a million different theories by now, and, you know, these are almost unpredictable, and while I can't fully rule them out, they're each just individually very unlikely. And then the third option would be that they were shot out of the volcano, landed near Wano, and they've just been incapacitated for one reason or another for the last week. And, you know, while we can't be 100% certain on any of these options, I feel like this third one is just the most probable by default, almost. Next, I considered where they could have landed. If the eruption happened right about here, they'd be shot out at roughly this angle, and while I'm sure that Oda is not going to adhere to any kind of strict laws of physics, they should have gone in this direction, meaning they could have landed anywhere from Udon Port to Old Onigashima, or maybe even past the borders of Wano altogether. And don't forget, Onigashima is gone now because it was dropped right outside of the capital, so that means that this area is just water as well. So geographically and situationally speaking, it seems like landing in the water would be likely. I will talk about Big Mom another time because her options are tricky with her kids nearby, but the more that I considered Kaido landing in the water, it all just made so much sense. The first reason is that Kaido has a model of the fish fruit, and this has barely been discussed in the story. I think it's pretty obvious that if you have a model of a fish fruit, you can probably breathe in the water, although you would still be immobilized like any other devil fruit user. And very mysteriously, we had a small excerpt in this week's Road to Laugh Tale, and it was about Kaido's fruit. It mentioned how the fruit has deep ties to God Valley and Big Mom, and it asked what happened in the aftermath of the God Valley incident. And this hint really got me thinking. What if Kaido's current situation is similar to what happened after God Valley? If we come to find out that Kaido is in the water just waiting to be found, then him reflecting on the fact that he would be dead without the fruit would be such an excellent opportunity to transition to a God Valley flashback, where maybe Big Mom gives Kaido this fruit before he falls into the water because maybe God Valley got completely destroyed. Because we all know damn well Kaido ain't using Skywalk with those legs. I know we all think it's a meme, but I'm serious. This man has not hit leg day one time in his entire life, and it actually almost killed him. But luckily Big Mom was there to give him this fruit, thus saving his life and providing that lifelong debt that he has to Big Mom. That would make the raid somewhat of a mirror of God Valley, and with what we saw during Roof Piece, I really don't think that comparison is too much of a stretch for Kaido to make, especially if he knows that Luffy is Joy Boy. I don't know how many details we would get from this type of flashback, but I think that this would just be a beautiful way to tie all these things together in a way that actually makes sense. Another convincing angle to all of this is that we know that Kaido has been on a seemingly unattainable quest for death, and we've always wondered, why not just drown yourself, especially if you have a devil fruit? And this factor is actually the most convincing to me, that the fruit does give you the ability to breathe in the water. I mean, this just has to be the answer. And I think that this has to be revealed at some point, and what better way than to see it in action? It's also a good explanation for how Luffy's punch kept Kaido down without a peep for this long, which many of us, me included, felt was just a little off compared to some of the other conclusions of Luffy's battles. And it's also an excellent plot tool to have a big threat like Kaido available whenever Oda pleases. He can write almost any scenario into the story to pull Kaido out of the water whenever he feels like it, and it won't feel that out of place. And then here's my favorite part of the theory, and maybe the most conclusive part. Who would be the right person to find Kaido? How about someone who might know what it's like to be stuck at the bottom of the ocean waiting for help? And someone who was mysteriously missing from chapter 1053. Yes, I'm talking about Jack. And while it's hard to be entirely sure what happened at Udon Prison, we can at least confirm that our alliance used the prison to hold the Beast Pirates because of this panel right here. But the question is, did King and Queen stage a breakout before Green Bull showed up? Or were they and the other fodder pulled out of their cells? And I think the answer is that there was a breakout. The first reason is that it doesn't make sense that Green Bull would let these fodder out just to be subsequently stabbed, while these other ones are locked up still. The next reason is that if Green Bull pulled those two out of their cells, he should have also grabbed Jack for sure. And then the last reason is that Green Bull told them to quiet down, or whatever, the translation was that you read, which seems unnecessary if they were already locked up and or cuffed with Sea Stone. I mean, Queen probably had a hand in designing the prison and, most of the tools used at the prison, so I don't think it's a stretch that they would be able to break out of it. And then that begs the question, if there was a breakout, that still doesn't explain why Jack would be missing. He almost had to be there because he lost inside Onigashima while our alliance had to go out and find the other two. Unless Jack left before Green Bull even got there. Yes, I think that Jack probably got out of his cell and, knowing how much it sucks to be stuck in the water, set right out to find Kaido. And, since he's part fishman, I think he asked the fish for help finding Kaido. And that's how he knew to leave so quickly. I mean, Jinbei did something just like this in Impel Down, and we really haven't seen this power since Fishman Island. So I like the chances of this being the case because it also provides a pretty reasonable way for the Beast Pirates to actually locate Kaido so quickly if he is out in the water somewhere. And if I had to predict a place for Kaido to have landed, I think Onigashima's old resting place just sounds like absolute poetry, since Kaido will get to see that things really came full circle. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to help support the channel because I have plenty of more theories coming. Peace, y'all.